Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio, and today I want to talk about sales, but more importantly, time management. I'm going to show you two ways that you can get more time to sell more. Let me say that again. I'm going to teach you that you can actually use two different strategies to gain more time and sell more. What if I told you right now that I could probably give you an extra month of selling? How would that sound? If I could give you an extra month of selling, would that be cool? In fact, if I could give you more than that, would that even be cooler? Well, I'm going to show you that when you really look at time management and how it applies to selling, if you have more time within a given year, 12 months, you can sell more. What if I can give you more time within those 12 months? I'm going to do that right now. Now, the first thing it's going to require is for you to know your sales cycle. Now, what is a sales cycle? Let's go through it. You first reach out to a customer. You first make the call. So you can start measuring your sales cycle at that very moment. The first time you reach out to a customer and you make a call, the sales cycle begins. Now, you know how it works, right? You make the call, you set up the appointment, you have the appointment, and you do your presentation. Then you move to a close. If it's a B2C sale, that's typically what you're looking at. Now, from the time you made the first call to the time you made the close, you actually got the order, that amount of time is your sales cycle. Now, in the B2B industry, when the products are more complex or more expensive and there's multiple decision makers, it's not so clear. In other words, from the time you make the first call to the time you make the close requires many iterations of meeting with the customers. In other words, you have to get together with them many times. But nonetheless, that still has a sales cycle. So let's say that on average, a B2C sales cycle might be 1 month. From the time you made the call, from the time you got a hold of the decision maker, to the time you got the actual presentation meeting with them, you got the meeting and you actually closed the deal, finalized the contract, that could be a month. And so let's just use that standard. And I know B2B is much longer, more complex, but let's just use that as a standard. Let's say that the average sales cycle for your business is 3 months. 3 months. Now, I want you to write this down. If you're like near a pen and paper, write this down. If you're listening to it in the car or wherever you may be, just listen in and maybe write it down later. But if your sales cycle is 4 weeks and you can reduce that sales cycle by 1 week, in other words, instead of closing in 4 weeks, what if you can use different strategies to actually close faster? In other words, if you can use different strategies to close faster, and let's say 3 weeks instead of 4, that means you've just saved 1 week. In other words, you just earned a week. So take that 1 week. You went from 4 weeks, now you're closing in 3 weeks. So that means you have an extra week of selling. But take that 1 week, multiply it by 12, and you have 12 weeks. Wow, so think about it. 12 weeks, which is equal to, do the math, 3 months. I mean, really think about that for a second. Let that really sink in. That if I can reduce my sales cycle from 4 weeks to 3 weeks, 4 weeks to 3 weeks, I have an extra week. And if every month I have an extra week of selling, multiply that by 12, and guess what? That's 3 months of selling. That's an extra quarter of selling. Now, I'm going to show you how you do this in just a bit. Now, the other thing I want you to consider, and again, now I just saved you 3 months. I'm going to try to save you even more time. Let's say that from this moment forward, you decide to be more efficient with your time. In fact, you decide to do one of two things. You decide to either find a way to reduce distractions by 1 hour, or you get up 1 hour early every day. Let's go through both of them. The easy one is obviously if you get up 1 hour early every day to focus on sales, right? But what if you stop using social media? Stop going online as often. Stop checking your email every 30, 40 minutes. Stop answering every call that's an interruption when you're doing something. What if by using those little strategies right there, you can save 1 hour a day? Just 1 hour a day. That's all I'm asking you to think about, 1 hour a day. If you can save 1 hour a day, that's obviously 5 hours per week. And if I multiply 5 times 4 weeks, that's obviously 20 hours a month. Just by saving 1 hour a day, you can save 20 hours a month. But if I multiply 20 hours times 12, that's 240 hours. Let me say this again, 240 hours. 240 hours. Now, the average day obviously is 8 hours. So if I take 240 hours divided by 8 hours per day, that's 30 days, 30 working days that I can save a year by just cutting out 1 hour of nonsense or getting up early 1 hour a day. Now, 30 days, 30 working days, not talking weekends, is the equivalent of 1.5 months. If we assume there's 20 days, more or less, in a month, 20 working days in a month, then 30 days is a month and a half. Now think about this. If you can reduce your sales cycle from 4 weeks to 3 weeks, guess what? You're going to save a quarter. We talked about that, 3 months worth. And if I can either get up an hour earlier or cut out the nonsense, email, voicemail, people interrupting, and save an hour a day, I can actually, over 1 year, save another month and a half. So if I had the 3 plus 1.5, obviously that's 4.5 months. That's almost half a year of selling that I can add to my capacity, my ability to sell, by just being more efficient. Do you get the idea? So time management is important, and I want you to think about this because this is really important. So again, if you can shorten your sales cycle by 25%, by 25% I mean you got 4 weeks. If I reduce that by 25%, 3 weeks to sell. So I've just reduced my sales cycle by 25%. If you can reduce your sales cycle in that way, imagine how much time you're going to save that'll allow you to use that time to find new customers or new prospect. And again, if you can save an hour or get up an hour earlier, that's a month and a half's worth of savings. That's 4.5 months of actual selling time. So again, when people tell me, Victor, I just don't have enough time to do A, B, C, I'm like, no, you're missing the point here. You can do one of two things. You can either shorten your sales cycle, in other words, sell faster, right? Smarter, just sell faster, smarter, or you can cut out the nonsense and what? Focus on business or get up an hour earlier. So combining these two really gives you more time to sell. So do we have time to sell? Absolutely. So here's what I want you to do. On my website, seminarsonselling.com, I have a training program called Sell More Faster. In my program, Sell More Faster, I will show you how to reduce your sales cycle. Hopefully that'll get you going. On time management, that's really up to you. Do you want to get up an hour early, or you really have to kind of monitor yourself, be disciplined to, again, don't take the phone calls. Forget the emails for a while. Figure out a time of day when you should answer calls, answer emails, and really minimize the interruptions. So again, hope these things will help you sell more faster. That's it for this Sales Influence podcast. Don't forget to leave me messages on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. I really do my best to answer all your questions. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care.
Every manager can feel it. The difference between a motivated, value-driven sales team and one that's stuck in a rut. CEOs know the difference too. They can see it clearly in the profit and loss columns. The question is, how do you get your team to this elite level? Is there something extra you can do to break through the remaining resistance and equip them with the right mindset to grow your business? Yes, there is. But you're not going to do it with one of those cheesy inspirational speakers or some self-proclaimed guru. What you need is someone with a real business track record to deliver key insights in a captivating way, to give your team the right tools for selling in today's tough marketplace. Enter Victor Antonio, experienced executive, innovative thinker, compelling speaker. He's ready to deliver the message you need your people to hear, not with a canned speech, but a customized, dynamic keynote designed to deliver results. Bring Victor Antonio to your next event before the competition does.